Welcome back. Yes, the night welcomes horror in this episode, well, we're gonna take a dip. Probably not because I don't like swimming in lakes and stuff, and especially after watching this film again. And I don't like swimming in the ocean. I prefer the pool. But before we get going, yes, I'm joined with my boy, author extraordinaire, Radar DeBoard. What's up, buddy?
Not much, man. Hanging in there. It's summertime. It's getting hot. I'm sure everyone's already sick of it.
Oh, listen, I prefer the fall. Give me the fall weather all year round. I am good with that.
Oh, hell yeah.
So this film in particular, well, you have a group of college friends who their friend Sarah, her family happens to own this lake island cabin. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
what in the hell?
I mean, I wish I had. After watching this film, I'm not sure if I wish I had it, but I would definitely stay in a place like that because that seems like a pretty cool spot for like a writer's retreat.
It does. I feel like that's definitely like the perfect place. I would just, if I was that wealthy, that'd be like my third home or something. I'd go stay there like once or twice a year, but I probably wouldn't go there all the time because the second something goes wrong, like this movie, you're screwed.
Yeah, so you have this group of college friends. They go spend a weekend over here. Well, and their weekends kind of turn into this smorgasbord of a not a great time because it happens to be this different types of groups of sharks that happens to be in the area. But when I watched this film, I'll be honest, I totally forgot what exactly was the reasoning for, which we'll talk about later, the villains of this film for doing what they do. But when they brought it up, it was kind of interesting that the fact that when this film came out in 2011,
Yeah.
how the fact they said Shark Week, it was one of the longest running shows on TV. But are you a Shark Week fan?
I think I like it on occasion, I mean, it's a full week, so you got to tune in for at least a little bit of it. I mean, because it's been around since I was a kid, it's been going. But I guess when did it originally start? Did you even, was it around when you were like, I don't think you would be a
I
kid at
don't think
that
no, I
point.
don't think it was
You-
really. Yeah, I'm not sure if it was when it really started, which I
Yeah,
should
I
have
can't.
researched it before we came on.
Well,
But
I'm
you
going to
know,
say early 2000s. So around there, maybe?
yeah, I mean, it was interesting to watch because I think the first couple were about the shark attacks and stuff, and then they started getting into deeper
Right.
dives as far as into the different types of sharks, and then it just kept going. I mean, I was a fan of it. I'll be honest, I stopped watching it like passionately after the BS with the megalodon, the
Yeah.
mockumentary, because I'm sitting there like, oh, this is interesting. Like, motherfucker, this is all fake. kind of pissing because they had me in until the end. You're like, hold up, man, this shit ain't real. And then they got caught out, and then they had, yeah, it was a mockumentary, and everybody fell for it. But that was when I kind of got a little turned off. I was like, motherfuckers, man, that was an interesting. I mean, if they would have did that mockumentary, did you watch the Megalodon mockumentary?
I did not know.
Oh God, dude! If you would have watched it, the whole thing is they're going through all this research about like these incidents happening
Mhm.
and how they actually had this boat that went under and everybody basically. I mean, it was an interesting thing. And then at the end of the thing, you're like, hold up, are these guys trying to pretend they're actually going to catch the megalodon? And then it turned into this whole BS at the end. You're like, fuck. But like some of the footage they show was actually pretty interesting. But I don't know, man. Yeah, I do watch it, just not as passionately as before.
I feel like that's kind of been the way. It's kind of gone away with streaming becoming more popular too. Little little less incentive to tune in for a full week of shark stuff.
Yeah, so why did we bring up Shark Week? Well, if you didn't watch this film, we have three villains in this film, and the sharks just happen to be the pawns of these villains. So we have Dennis Red, which I give a dude credit. I mean, dude sharpened his two front teeth into like
Yeah.
shark teeth, which I'm like, what the fuck? And then Sabin, which is the guy. He was basically the chief of the water. He went this whole tantrum when he's talking to Nick because yeah, they paid me $12 an hour to babysit this fucking lake, and he just went on this whole tangent, which is fucking hysterical. Then he actually mentions that when Nick goes, "Why are you doing this?" He goes, "Dude, Shark Week."
Yeah.
So
Shark
the fact
Week.
they're doing snuff films with sharks. I mean, what did you think of the explanation that was used in order to almost justify what they're doing?
So this is one of the like sole horror movies from around this time that I was able to go see in theaters because this is surprising. It's a PG-13 horror movie. Um, and it feels like it was filmed and written by 13-year-olds. And like I remember some of the like the most longest stared shots in the film are like just on girls in bikinis and just like their butts as they're walking along going like whoa, and they just really hold on that for a hot minute, and it's you could kind of you're like this is really at least geared toward teenagers, and that explanation also fits right on in there.
I thought it was pretty funny though, the way because Simon was so
Oh yeah.
into it. He was like, "Yeah, I mean, people love Shark Week. It's the longest running reality show on TV, and but not everybody could get the shark. So why not get all this money and people pay for this stuff? People want to see the dark web stuff, which he's unfortunately he's right on that as far
Yeah.
as but the fact that I love that that was his reasoning behind it.
Right. It's
I mean,
like it's so it's so stupid. It it's plausible, but it's so stupid. But this movie is also so stupid that it works. It just works because it just matches the tone.
oh yeah, it's like a Shark Week fan decide I'm gonna make my own Shark Week. And the fact that I not for nothing, I loved the whole thing that these there was a hurricane, so they
Yeah.
shut down the interstate, and these sharks just happened to get stuck. Which I'm curious how the hell they got the fucking great white stuck, but we'll,
Yeah.
we'll talk about that later. Because the cage they were keeping them, like, really, I mean, that's. But this movie is not supposed to be taken seriously. It is comedic in a way at certain points. I mean, like I said, you got Red, who he's just like going on for a ride, who
He's
he
there for a good
suffers
time.
tragically when Dennis was like fucking flings a knife into his chest. What did you think of the Dennis story with Sarah though?
Kind of like that backstory and stuff.
Yeah.
I I feel like again, this is stupid. This movie is stupid, and I feel like that backstory is them going like, maybe it doesn't have to be so stupid. But I don't know. Do you think it stuck the landing?
It didn't only because like hold on, so they were in the water swimming together and she thought she was drowning. And at one point when you're drowning, do you decide to turn on the motor of the boat you're on? Ah,
Right.
you just happen to, hit your boyfriend with the propeller, which then he's
Who?
missing an ear and half his face, and then she leaves him in the hospital and just fucking takes off.
Right.
I mean, I see. I understood his point of why he wanted to throw her in a cage and feed her and stuff because that is kind of fucked up.
That's messed up. It's. I was gonna say I don't feel like I was rooting for Sarah necessarily in this movie.
No, I kind of wanted the Great White to get her, to be honest, because poor Nick. I mean, the guy is just like he's a good guy,
Good guy.
and he gets thrown into this whole mix with her, and I don't know. It was just like one of those things. You're like, all right, if there was to redo this film, and that's basically the storyline, the plot to it, then I
Yeah.
think if they would have died, but the fact that you didn't know it was him till it was mentioned later on, even though she mentioned it to Nick, about what happened if she was drowning with the propeller, she never mentioned it was Dennis,
Yeah.
which is kind of fucked up.
Kind of messed up. Like, you know.
Yeah, she drove me crazy. So this was most shark films, there's always the kills. I mean, like,
Always the case.
which, I mean, here's my one major knock of this film. I wish they would have showed more of the shark attacks. It just felt like it
Yeah,
was a little bit off screen.
for
But
sure.
the ones that they showed, like, which one interests you the most?
I feel like um who is it that gets their arm bit off?
Malik.
Malik, thank you. I thought it was Malik. I feel like and Malik's isn't the coolest death or anything because it's like a prolonged one, but it's the only one in the film that feels like serious, like on any note. And it's very interesting because every other character is like this dumb stereotype. Again, we keep saying it. This film is not highbrow. And you have this one moment of like where they inject something that's like a little more substance of Malik sacrificing himself so the others can get away. And it's like very poignant. And again, the rest of the movie where the bad guys are like, Shark Week, baby. Very, very interesting. What about you? What's your favorite death?
I wish they would have they would have still waited a little longer, but the cookie cutter sharks when they were attacking Malik's girlfriend.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I thought that was interesting. I wish they would have, because I like the backstory that this was given. Yeah, they eat their own teeth, because that's the only way to get calcium. I'm like, that's, it made me want to read a little bit more because I actually now I'm interested in cookie cutter sharks. I thought that was out of all shark films, that's like the least expected shark
Right.
you would expect to attack. And the fact that the way she got killed, I think it would have been interesting to see how much more if you would have held on to it, they would have tore into her, which I
Yeah.
think was definitely the best kill. I mean, yeah, I agree with the whole Malik thing, because Malik was badass. I mean, one arm and shit. He was like, "Where I'm from, you take something from me, I take something from you." I'm like,
Right.
it's like, dude, you got one arm
You got one arm, brother.
and a homemade spear you just did, and you're going after a hammerhead shark, which it was interesting they used the hammerhead shark because I kind of wish it was the tiger shark or was it the bull shark, right?
Yeah, bull sharks. Yeah.
Was the Yeah, because the tiger shark was what we're saving, which we'll mention those in a bit. But yeah, I mean, I like the whole use of all these different sharks. Um, the great white, two great whites at the end, which
Too great.
that ending when you're like, was that necessary? But like, all right, so let's talk about this. I mean, what did you think of the group of friends that were in this film, and
Right.
how they actually handled the situation?
Well, like I said, we've kind of already discussed Sarah and Malik. Our opinions have been made known about them. Nick is just kind of like a good guy hanging around. The other characters are obviously just shark fodder, in my opinion. I don't know if you feel that same way, but I think they're shark fodder.
Well, I kind of wanted like Gordon to live a little longer
That's fair.
because, all right, I'm not saying, listen, if you're in those situations, you're not sure what you're thinking, but when he started climbing that like the tree in the middle of water, you figure you kind of want to go on the inside a
Yeah.
little bit more. In fact, he left himself there, and then I think that was the bull shark that got him.
Yeah, I think so.
But it's just like one of those things that you look at the situation. All right, what are you doing as far as Malik goes? The fact that they had the boat and one of them basically fell off the boat, and then she lost complete control of the boat. You figure she knows the water, the whole area enough that she could have still went, got to where she needed to go, Sarah, or a different
Right.
location. But the fact that for somebody that knows the area, she made the most mistakes of
A
all of them.
lot of mistakes.
And yeah, I mean the only part that had me laughing with Nick was after he escaped from Saban and threw Saban
Mhm.
into like like the with the tiger sharks, which was funny because Saban was so pissed off that he threw him in the water. Like, dude, you try to kill him, and that's his. I mean, he's going to do the same thing for you, but he sees the boat out there with with Dennis, Red, and Sarah. I'm just gonna go for a swim. I'm like, dude, there's so many sharks in the water. You're just gonna,
Right.
and the fact that all right, I know this film, it's dumb, but the fact that this dude swims in the water and not one shark appears,
Yep.
which kind of like, all right, this, you're going against what you're doing because this whole area is supposed to be infested with these sharks.
Right.
Yeah, that's the only one that I'm saying like,
No,
fuck, man. I mean, I would have been like, all right, Sarah, you didn't tell me about Dennis till a couple
right.
minutes ago and shit. I'm just gonna chill here.
I'm just gonna see myself out type deal. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, look what she did to Dennis. She basically, I love you, I love you, I love you, and take his gun and he was, I mean, he was so pissed off after that. I like the scene though when they throw the cage in the water and Nick and Dennis are fighting and Dennis goes overboard and this
Yeah.
fucker jumps like Spider-Man on top of the shark cage. Yeah, but this film is like, yeah, like none of the characters are supposed to be taken seriously at all. I
No.
mean, it wasn't like, and like I said, I like Joel David Moore. I like Dustin Mulligan. This
Mhm.
wasn't like a movie for like great acting.
No.
If you was to have taken one of these characters out and replaced them with somebody else, who would you replace?
Oh God, that is such a good man. Just because I absolutely adore him, I feel like I would, and I don't have anything against the guy who played Saban. I would take Saban out and replace him with William Defoe just for an even like more bonkers performance because William Defoe always delivers on that end.
I would take out the character who played Dennis
Uh
and put Bradley Cooper.
huh.
Because Bradley Cooper plays an asshole so well.
That is true. He could really add some extra zhuzh to it.
Like nothing wrong with the guy who played Dennis, but it just feel like, I don't know, like you
Yeah.
want a little bit more from your villains. I thought Red was good. I thought Red fit what he needed to fit. I mean, he was
Right.
just that weirdo and stuff. He goes, "Oh, come on," he grabs just a nibble, just a bite.
So
I'm like, dude.
weird.
All right, so the big question when we get to shark films: should this film have a sequel, and how would you do it?
So I feel for to me my like my bar and my expectations for shark movies are incredibly low because like you have four that are good, like three or four that are legitimately good, and then everything after that you're like, this is not obviously. Um, but if it's profitable, I say make a sequel, and guess what? By some miracle, Shark Night was profitable. So I say you gotta do Shark Night 2. And I feel like you have to like move it to a different lake, but like have it be more of say maybe a prom night 2 Hello Mary Lou type of deal where it's like you just lean into the really bonkers aspect of like, maybe maybe someone is making like Shark Men, like go really weird and bonkers with it. But I would love for it to stay the exact same reason. They're like, oh, we got to do Shark Week snuff films, but we've genetically tested and created an army of shark men.
Wow.
That's
That's reaching.
just go for it.
See, I think what I would do is I would bring Sarah back and
Oh, really?
I would have her be the villain.
Oh, I like that idea because
I
we
would
hate
have
Thera. So
yeah, if we hate her guts, why not hate her even more? But I would have her the villain because one, she got money, and the fact that lake cabin is not a bad idea. So what if she runs that lake cabin area, that lake cabin for other college students
Right.
and takes them. They rent the area out, but she like drugs them and drops them off at certain areas around the cabin. All right, if you want to survive, you got to swim back to the cabin. You
Oh,
got to make your way
interesting.
back to the cabin because now, I mean, you still got all the sharks out there. Like, have her make all these sharks her babies. Like, this is mine now.
Right. Kind of like a shark centric version of Saw.
Yeah, why not?
Why
Give them
not?
one weapon. Here's your one weapon. You have to make it back to the cabin. You make it back to the cabin. One, you go free. Two, I give you money, and you have to sign
Ooh.
a non-disclosure agreement saying you never say a word.
Man, that sounds. Oh, so like they would know. They would know ahead of time, like we're doing it. So it's kind of like what is it? Your net or not your next? Guys, would you rather?
Yeah, would you
Would
rather?
you rather? Yeah, it reminds me of Would You Rather, which is a great film.
Oh, great,
Um,
amazing film.
Great, amazing film. I like that idea. That's way better than my idea. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be interested in. She just sits there and right there on the beach, drinking her margaritas, watching who makes it back.
She's got like a big kind of like like a big TV set, a bunch of different monitors, watching everyone.
Make it even funnier. Red survives somehow because yeah, he got stabbed in the chest, but he didn't get eaten up by a shark.
It's true.
So I think that'd be an interesting one. I would watch it, out of curiosity. Man, I don't want to.
Now, I don't know how much of a fan base there is for Shark Night.
I'm sure there is. I know some people who talk about this film that day. I mean, it's an enjoyable film because it's dumb.
Yeah, it is what it is, and this is just it's such an interesting film too because around this time, I feel like horror was really at its low point.
Oh yeah,
People like to say that the 90s was bad for horror. No, it wasn't. It was a little bleak there, but man, once you had a couple solid ones, and then Scream came along, revitalized it for a hot minute. And I would say probably 2 or 3 years after the first Saw movie, it was you either had Saw or for some reason a slew of PG-13 horror movies that were just bad. They were just bad. And Shark Night came on the tail end of this. I think it's better than a lot of those PG-13 ones. And it's because it knows, like, guys, we're supposed to be stupid. It's self-aware.
and the CGI wasn't terrible in this, to be honest.
Surprisingly not, which it like you would think they would have definitely just like copped out and done like minimal work on it, but apparently these guys were like, no, they had integrity. The CGI artists went, I have integrity. I'm gonna do my job correctly here.
I
This could
wonder
be an important stepping stone.
if this was like a hard R, how good it would have been. Because I feel like the PG-13 holds back a lot.
I was gonna say, at least on the kill front, I don't think it would have changed
No,
too
story.
much. No, yeah, I don't think it would change anything really, like scene wise, other than the kills would be more gruesome.
Yeah.
And I feel like that would be it. But maybe that does bump it up, at least a little bit.
All right, so the creators of Shark Night, if you're watching this, you want us to write your sequel, we'll do it because we have a bunch of ideas here. All right, so before we wrap up, there's something you mentioned. I'm curious about your rank though. What are your top 4 shark movies?
Oh God!
Yeah, put you right on the spot because you
Oh
mentioned
my
it.
God!
You mentioned it.
Okay. Oh man, this is oof. Let's see. I think Jaws, obviously Jaws. That's numero uno. I really like Deep Blue Sea. That one's always a good one. I liked Under Paris, but mostly because of the ending. And I feel like if you want, you can throw Jaws 2 in there, and then maybe like down towards the bottom. What's the one with Blake Lively? That one's pretty solid.
The Shallows.
The Shallows. The Shallows is pretty good.
It's a PG-13 as well.
Interesting. Yeah, it's
PG-13 as well. See, for me,
yeah. What do you got? Let's hear.
The top one definitely. I like Jaws 2 over Jaws 1.
Oh, hot take. All right, horror
The
fiend
only
TV's
reason,
canceled.
no, we actually did a Fiends on about this one is because the first one I feel was more psychological as far as knowing the shark was in the water.
Right.
The second one was a higher kill count.
They show that sucker.
Yes, they show them, and you have the basically Lieutenant Brody's with some serious psychological trauma still going. So I love seeing that side of that character, and
Right.
then you throw a higher kill count. I just feel like that film was what Jaws. I mean, we always talk about how very rarely do films have great sequels, and
Right.
how you could judge, like you could actually make an argument whether the second movie was better than the first. I mean, Jaws is one of those films. I don't think if you say Jaws one is better, if you say Jaws two is better, I don't think you're wrong in when it comes to those two films. It's
Right.
like when you watch Alien and Aliens. A lot of people argue that Aliens is a lot more better than Alien
Right.
because of the action, the more kills. But for me, yeah, I would say Jaws would be number one for me. I will put Jaws one, number two. I will put definitely Shallows for me is
Yeah,
number
feeling
three.
that, feeling that jam.
Yeah, and then number four, I kind of like this film, Bait. You ever watch Bait? That's the one
Sounds
where they're,
familiar.
they're trapped in the there's an earthquake and they're trapped in the underwater like a supermarket and there's a oh you never watched that, dude?
I
You
have
gotta
not watched it.
all
So
right, watch Bait because I want to know what you think about that. Yeah, definitely watch Bait. It's actually a very interesting film because the shark kills are actually really good and the CGI they use in it. I mean, you know CGI, but it's so well done. Like there's one scene, spoiler, sorry. There's one scene where this couple they're trapped inside of a car that's underwater
what the fuck is going on?
with fucking great white roaming around. I was almost tell you, you got it now. You got to watch it, man.
What is what? When did this come out?
Wow, it came out a couple years ago.
Okay, so fairly
Uh,
new. I did not hear. Okay, that explains it though. It's a newer film. You know me. I hardly watch anything new.
Watch Bait. I'm interested in what you think. And if you're watching, let us know what your top four shark films of all time are. Yeah, I could slip in Deep Blue Sea in there too.
Yeah, I was
And
gonna
I
say.
enjoyed Deep Blue Sea. I thought it was great. The second one's fucking sucked.
I
But
forget what second one.
yeah, it never happened. But yeah, this is this episode of Sharks. Let us know, like I said, what are your top four shark films of all time? Let us know if you actually like this film and what would you have done differently. And man, did you like or did you hate Sarah? Because we both hate her guts. And fucking Nick should have left her in a cage because
Should have.
that's what she deserved. And then he should have taken the fucking lake cabin and turned into a fucking serial killer too. But hey, this is why we do this because we like to flip stories around and we're not saying we hate this film. We enjoyed this film, but it is what it is. So, till next time, that's my boy Radar the Board, JR the Villain, Horror Fiend TV, The Night Welcomes Horror. Till next time, you will probably see a scarecrow.
Ooh,
Peace.
peace.